The day I lost my company was the day I finally understood why our mother had always warned me about my sister Jennifer. Keep your success quiet, Mom would say. Your sister, she can't stand seeing others do better than her. I should have listened. Instead, I'd spent the last 5 years building my tech startup from nothing, working endless hours in our tiny office space, living on ramen and coffee while Jennifer lived the high life on our parents' money. I'd wanted to prove I could make it on my own, without the family fortune. The company, DataStream Solutions, had finally started turning a profit. We'd landed major contracts, built a solid team of 30 employees, and were on the verge of a breakthrough deal that would put us on the map. That's when Jennifer suddenly showed interest in my work. "Oh, Emily, I had no idea your little project was doing so well," she'd gushed over our monthly family dinner. "You should let me help. I have so many connections from business school." I'd hesitated. Jennifer had never shown interest in my work before. She'd always dismissed it as my cute little hobby, while she pursued her MBA at Harvard and dated a string of wealthy men. But she was my sister, and maybe, I thought foolishly, she was finally seeing me as an equal. "Sure," I'd said. "We could use some investment connections." The smile that crossed her face should have warned me. It was the same smile she'd worn at age 12, when she'd convinced our parents that I'd broken her expensive doll, when she'd actually done it herself. Jennifer moved fast. Within weeks, she'd arranged meetings with interested investors. She insisted on handling the negotiations herself. "You're so good at the technical side, Em," she'd said sweetly. "Let me handle the business part. It's what I went to Harvard for, after all." Before I knew it, she'd orchestrated a complex investment deal that diluted my ownership. The paperwork was dense, full of legal terms I didn't fully understand. When I'd expressed concern, she'd waved it off. "It's standard stuff, Em. Don't you trust your own sister? Besides, we can't afford fancy lawyers right now. The company needs this investment." I signed. God, I was such a fool. This morning, exactly 3 months after that signing, I walked into our office to find the locks changed. Jennifer stood in the lobby with 2 security guards and a smirking man I recognized as Gerald Thompson, one of our new board members. "What's going on?" I demanded. "Board meeting this morning," Jennifer said, examining her perfectly manicured nails. "We voted to restructure the company leadership." "Restructure? What are you talking about?" "You've been removed as CEO," Gerald stated flatly. "The board feels the company needs more experienced leadership." My head spun. "You can't do that. I founded this company." "Actually, we can." Jennifer's smile turned cruel. "Check the paperwork you signed, dear sister. The investment terms were quite clear about board authority. You should have read more carefully." "You're taking my company?" My voice cracked. "My own sister." "Oh, don't be so dramatic." Jennifer rolled her eyes. "This is business. The company needs real leadership, not some self-taught programmer playing entrepreneur. I mean, you don't even have an MBA. I built this company from nothing, and now it's time for someone qualified to take it to the next level." She gestured to the security guards. "Please escort Ms. Walker out. She's no longer authorized to be on the premises." I stood there shocked, as my own employees watched me being let out. People I'd hired, trained, worked alongside. They all turned away, avoiding my eyes. Only my assistant Maria dared to speak up. "This isn't right," she said firmly. "Emily built this company." "And you're fired too," Jennifer snapped. "Clear out your desk. Outside, Maria found me sitting on a bench, staring blankly at the building I had worked so hard to fill with dreams and innovation. "I'm so sorry, Emily," she said, sitting beside me. "I had no idea this was coming." "Neither did I whispered. "How could she do this? She's my sister." Maria hesitated. "There's something you should know. I overheard Jennifer on the phone last week. She's planning to sell the company to tech giant. They're announcing the acquisition next month." My heart stopped. Tech giant, our biggest competitor. They tried to buy us out last year, but I'd refused. Our technology was better, more innovative. They couldn't replicate it, so they wanted to acquire it. And now my sister was going to hand it to them. She planned this. I realized. All of it. The investment, the board seats, it was all to get control, so she could sell to tech giant. "The deal's worth millions," Maria confirmed. "Jennifer stands to make a fortune as majority shareholder." I laughed bitterly. Finally beat me at something, didn't she? That's all she's ever cared about. My phone buzzed. A text from our mother. "Just heard from Jennifer. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I tried to warn you." Another buzz. This time from our father. "Be reasonable, Emily. Jennifer has the experience for this. Don't make a scene." Of course they take her side. They always had. "What will you do?" Maria asked softly. I stood up, something shifting inside me. The shock was wearing off, replaced by a cold clarity. Jennifer thought she'd won, thought she'd taken everything. But there was something she didn't know, something no one knew. "Maria," I said quietly, "remember that lease paperwork you notarized for me last year?" She frowned. "For the building?" "Yes, it was under that holding company name you used. Hidden something?" "Hidden Valley Holdings." I smiled for the first time that day. "A completely separate company from DataStream. One that owns this entire building." Maria's eyes widened. "You mean?" Jennifer was so focused on taking the company, she never bothered to check who owned the actual building. I pulled out my phone. Time to make some calls, starting with the property management company. "What are you going to do?" I thought about Jennifer's smirk, about all the times she put me down, about how she finally shown her true colors. "I'm going to teach my dear sister a lesson about reading the fine print." I didn't know then that my revenge would be even sweeter than I imagined. That within 24 hours, Jennifer's perfect plan would start unraveling in ways she never saw coming. And it would all start with 4 simple words from my property manager. "Consider it done, Mom." I spent that night in my apartment, reviewing every document I had. The building purchase had been my secret safety net. I'd used my personal savings and a private loan to buy it through Hidden Valley Holdings when it went up for sale last year. The previous owner had been desperate for a quick sale, and I'd seen the potential. Now that decision would save everything. At 6 a.m. the next morning, I called the property management company. "Ms. Walker," my manager Tom greeted me. "I've prepared everything as requested. Are you sure about this? It's aggressive." "They took my company, Tom, through fraud and manipulation." "Yes, I'm sure." By 8 a.m., everything was in place. I sat in a coffee shop across the street, watching as DataStream's employees arrived for work. Jennifer's car pulled up at 8:30, a brand new Mercedes she probably already bought with her anticipated windfall. At exactly 9 a.m., Tom's team moved in. First, they shut off the building's air conditioning. It was mid-July, and temperatures were already climbing. Then came the elevator maintenance, emergency repairs that couldn't be delayed. The parking garage also needed immediate inspection, forcing everyone to move their cars to street parking. By 10 a.m., Jennifer was calling the building management office in a rage. I could imagine her face getting redder by the minute as she learned that all maintenance requests now had to go through Hidden Valley Holdings, a company she'd never heard of. At noon, as the building temperature reached uncomfortable levels, Tom walked into DataStream's office with a notice. The rent was being raised significantly, effective immediately. My phone rang. Jennifer. What did you do? She demanded without preamble. Hello, sister dear. Having building troubles. This is ridiculous. They're trying to triple our rent. And nothing works. Sounds frustrating, I said calmly. You know, kind of like having your company stolen by your own sister. Silence. Then, you own the building? Hidden Valley Holdings owns the building. And as the CEO of Hidden Valley Holdings, I get to make certain decisions, like rent adjustments, maintenance schedules, lease terms. You can't do this. We have a lease. Actually, DataStream's lease has a change of control clause. Any significant ownership change triggers a lease review. You should have read the fine print, sis. Isn't that what they taught you at Harvard? I heard her sputtering. I'll have our lawyers. Do what? The lease is ironclad. I had it reviewed by 3 separate law firms. You can fight it, but that will take months. How long do you think your employees will stay in a building with no air conditioning? How will that affect your tech giant deal? Dead silence. Oh yes, I continued sweetly. Maria told me about that. Selling my technology to our biggest competitor. Classy move, Jennifer. You're bluffing, she said, but I heard the fear in her voice. You couldn't afford this building. Remember when Mom and Dad offered to buy me a luxury car for graduation like they did for you? I asked for the money instead, invested it, added my savings from 5 years of living frugally while building my company. You were so busy looking down on my little project that you never noticed I was planning ahead. Just then, I saw Gerald Thompson storming out of the building, sweat staining his expensive suit. More employees followed, fanning themselves with papers. Your board meeting this afternoon might be uncomfortable, I noted. The conference room gets especially warm around 3 p.m., and the backup generators only power essential systems, no climate control. What do you want? Jennifer's voice was tight with fury. A meeting. You, me, the board, and the lawyers I've hired. 1 hour. I'll have the air conditioning restored for that. And if I refuse, then enjoy explaining to Tech Giant why their expensive new acquisition is about to be homeless. I'm sure they'll understand. The meeting was beautiful chaos. My lawyers presented evidence of Jennifer's manipulation, including emails Maria had saved showing the premeditated plan to seize control. The board members, sweating in their suits, listened with growing alarm as they realized their own liability in the scheme. This is grounds for criminal charges, my lawyer stated calmly. Fraud, corporate espionage, conspiracy. What do you want? Gerald Thompson demanded, pulling at his wilted collar. I laid out my terms. Immediate restoration of my position as CEO. Jennifer and her conspirators to surrender their shares. A new board of my choosing. You're crazy. Jennifer stood up. Daddy won't let. Dad's not here. I cut her off. And he can't help. Unless he wants to explain to his country club friends how his Harvard-educated daughter committed corporate fraud. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, I had my company back. Jennifer stormed out, already on the phone with our parents. But for once, they couldn't fix this for her. The next few weeks were a blur of restructuring and damage control. Most employees were relieved to have me back. Apparently, Jennifer's brief leadership had been chaotic and demoralizing. Maria got a promotion to chief of staff. A month later, I sat in my restored office, reviewing acquisition offers, not from tech giant, but from more ethical competitors who'd heard about our technology. The numbers were staggering. My phone buzzed, a text from Jennifer. "Daddy's making me move to our London office. Happy now?" I smiled, remembering all the times she'd lorded her achievements over me, all the times she dismissed my dreams. Then I typed, "Actually, yes. Enjoy London. By the way, the building's air conditioning works perfectly now." She didn't reply. That evening, as I walked to my car, still the same modest hybrid I'd always driven, I passed Jennifer's empty parking spot. The sign now read, "Reserved for CEO, Emily Walker." My phone buzzed again. "Mom, your sister's devastated. Can't you let this go?" I thought about it, about all the years of competition and manipulation, about Jennifer's smirk as she had security escort me out. "No," I texted back, "but I hear London's lovely this time of year." Turning off my phone, I drove home to my apartment, the same one I'd lived in while building my company from scratch. I could afford better now, but I liked it. It reminded me of where I'd started and how far I'd come. On my desk sat a framed quote I'd hung the day after getting my company back. "Success is the best revenge." Below it, I'd added my own line, "But owning the building helps too." Some people say success changes you, but sometimes it just shows who you've been all along. Jennifer had always seen me as the little sister she could manipulate and control. She never understood that while she was focused on appearances and status, I was building something real. A company, a reputation, and yes, a backup plan. Now she had lots of time to think about that, from London. As for me, I had a company to run, and this time I knew exactly who to trust. Spoiler alert, it wasn't family.